The restaurant was packed with hungry customers busy eating at their tables when the customer's attention shifted to a 4-year-old Kayla running towards her mom. Kayla's face was filled with tears and she was hysterically crying when she reached her mom's arm. While Kayla's mom, Nicole, was comforting her daughter, she asked her daughter what was wrong. Kayla was still crying and couldn't speak. She continued sobbing like she was in deep pain. That was when Nicole started scanning her daughter's body and saw what was wrong. There was something on Kayla's leg. A girl rushed out of a McDonald's bathroom crying. Then her mom saw something wrong on her legs. It was during New Year's Day when Nicole and her daughter Kayla decided to spend their day at the park and buy some food at McDonald's. It was Kayla's favorite fast food. The two were so excited to spend time together and bond at the park. While Nicole was closing their front door, Nicole turns to Kayla and asks her if she's ready to have fun. Kayla nodded her head with excitement, having no idea what was about to come to them. When Nicole and Kayla arrived at the park, the piercing sun was shimmering down on them. It was a perfect bright day to spend at the park. Kayla immediately ran towards the roundabout and asked her mom to spin her. You can hear Kayla's giggle throughout the playground while her mom was spinning her. Nicole's phone started ringing and turned around to answer the call, while Kayla got off the roundabout to go to the slides. While Nicole was busy talking on her phone, she suddenly heard a scream. Nicole quickly ended her call when she realized it was Kayla. The moment Nicole got off the phone, she turned around to find Kayla had fallen from the slide and scratched her head. She was so worried what had happened and continued comforting her daughter while she was sobbing. After a while, when Kayla had finally calmed down, she asked her mom if she could get food already. Nicole immediately stood up and told her daughter, "Yes, of course, dear." The two left the park and drove off to the nearest McDonald's, which was about 10 minutes away from where they were. Little did Nicole know that it would have been better if they just ate somewhere else. When Nicole and Kayla arrived at McDonald's and walked into the restaurant, they noticed that the place was filled with people. Nicole's attention was caught by a group of teenagers that were seated in the corner of the restaurant. The group was listening to music while sipping on their soda. Two of the teenagers suddenly turned their look at Nicole and her daughter and sniggered. What could those two be thinking? It was mentioned earlier the restaurant was packed, so it's no surprise that the line was long too. After what seemed like forever standing in line, it was finally Nicole's turn to order. While she was ordering their food, she asked Kayla to sit at the table in the corner and wait there while she was ordering food. Kayla politely followed her mom's instructions and sat at the table while watching a video on YouTube on her mom's phone. But then suddenly a scream was heard throughout the restaurant. A scream came from the teenager that was sitting in the corner of the restaurant. The group started a fight and were yelling at each other. Nicole immediately walked over to Kayla and comforted her, trying to drive her attention away from the battle by making her watch YouTube videos. Staff from the restaurant quickly went to the group to break up the fight and kick them out of the place. While the group was kicked out, two teenage girls from the circle were still sitting at the table. It was finally time to eat. The smell of burger and fries lingered in the air as Nicole and Kayla started digging into their well-deserved lunch. Kayla was eating a Happy Meal while Nicole was eating her chicken burger and some fries. In the middle of their mealtime, Kayla suddenly looks at her mom with a stern but innocent look. "Mommy, I need to use the toilet," Kayla whispered. As she finishes the last bite of her cheeseburger, Kayla wipes her hands and gets up to go to the toilet. When she walks over, she notices the lock is shut. There must be someone in there, she thought. She looks back at her mom, who smiles at her. Suddenly, she hears something. It's coming from inside the toilet. Giggles and laughs can be heard while Kayla was patiently waiting outside the toilet. After a couple of minutes remaining, the door opened and the two teenage girls from earlier went out of the bathroom together with a smirk on their faces. Nicole was intimidated by the girls as she watched them walk past Kayla. Nicole then signals her daughter to enter the toilet and assures Kayla that she'll stay outside and wait for her. While Nicole was patiently waiting for Kayla at her table, she heard a scream coming from the toilet. "Mom!" Kayla screamed, while running out of the bathroom with tears streaming down her face. Nicole immediately stood up from her seat, not minding her bag that fell onto the floor. As a mother, one thing that you never want to hear is the sound of your kid screaming. Kayla ran into her mom's arms, sobbing. "In the toilet," she says. Nicole immediately went to the toilet to check what was wrong. She scanned the whole room and thought there was nothing wrong there. So she continued studying to see what could be the reason behind her daughter's outburst. She saw that there were a few toilet paper rolls rolled out on the floor and the faucet was dripping. Nicole checked the toilet seat, and that is when she figured the reason for her child's outburst. When she went to the toilet seat, she noticed that it looked like the chair was covered with a white sticky substance. But as Nicole got closer to inspect, she realized that it was glue. The toilet seat was smothered with super glue. She then realized that someone did this on purpose. Nicole stormed out of the toilet while her heart was pounding and yelled to call the manager and all employees in the restaurant. Nicole went over to her daughter, who was still crying and yelling in pain. She checks on Kayla to see what was wrong and saw that her daughter's skin was peeled off at the back of her legs. While Kayla was still crying in her mother's arm, Kayla was terrified of what happened, and her mother was furious. Nicole yells out for help in the crowd while stopping her tears from falling out of her eyes. Joanna, the assistant manager at McDonald's, thought that she had seen it all, from small fights over a Big Mac to a drunk customer and misbehaving teens. She was trained and was already used to handling heated situations. She knew what to do to solve problems, but in her 15 years in the industry, it was the first time to see and experience something like this. She had never seen anything like this. The moment Nicole asked for help, Joanna and her co-employees all gathered around Kayla and provided medical assistance. The staff helped in cleaning the wound and bandaging her up while Kayla was crying in her mom's chest. After that, Nicole decided to go to the nearest hospital, so she called a family member to come and get them. But the assistance that was given to them was not enough for Nicole. She knew that there was something that she needed to do. Nicole took the matter to her social media account and shared on her personal Facebook what happened, hoping that this would bring the pranksters to justice. On her post, Nicole wrote, "To the two young blonde girls that thought it would be hilarious to put super glue on the disabled and baby changing toilet in McDonald's, I just want you to know that I still have to console my 4-year-old daughter who was unfortunate enough to use the toilet after your little prank." She is hoping that the two teenage girls who played the prank on her daughter would be found and punished. Kayla is just an innocent little girl and does not deserve all of this. After some investigations, the two teenage girls were finally found and were interviewed by the police officers. The two girls immediately admitted what they did and sincerely apologized to Nicole and Kayla. The two girls said they were regretting what they did and that it was a prank gone wrong. But was the apology enough for Nicole and daughter Kayla? Imagine Kayla, a 4-year-old who would have to live her life with this terrible memory marked in her mind. After hearing that the police had taken appropriate action against the two teenage girls, Nicole felt relieved. It's been weeks since the incident happened, and the things that happened that day is still fresh in her mind. She watches as her daughter peacefully plays with her dolls. Some justice, finally, she thought to herself. She takes a sip of her cup of coffee before smiling to herself and watching her brave daughter play. Such a story, right? This story just proves to show that pranks can be a fun way to trick your friends, but it can result in a bad scenario. Hopefully, Nicole and Kayla's experience will remind those people who love doing pranks and tricks on their friends to think twice about the people they would upset, all for the sake of a laugh. So next time you want to play a prank on someone, make sure to think about it first and that no one will get hurt.